Hi, everybody. I'm Donald Clark. How are you today? I apologize, we're a little late, and we're not in our normal live room, so I might get a little loud, and I hope it doesn't. But I apologize for my lateness. We're running a little late here today at CNY Fertility. Not late. We're just. I'm putting more effort and energy into everyone that's in front of me than you, although you're still very important to me. Jessica, it's good to see you. So I wanted to just make a quick video drop for everybody. It's not going to be one of my full video drops, but I'm going down this path of new diet, not really diet, just new experience. And so, I've done this before in the past where I will cut foods out, add foods in, and just to see how I'm feeling and where I'm at. And so, what I've been doing recently is, hello everybody. I'm doing well, thank you. So, what I've been doing recently is I've cut out gluten, right? And I've done that a lot in the past, and gluten and I don't get along very well, and it doesn't. It's not really good for small amounts is okay for everybody, but eating lots of gluten is not good for your body. And what I've been focusing on more now, a little bit more than normal, is fat. And so I have just been straight up fat, eating the fat off of the steaks that I've been eating, and cooking everything in butter and eggs, and cutting out cutting out all of my gluten and should not. I haven't been so perfectly good with sugars, because it's a process, and but I'm doing much better than I was. And as you all know, everyone plays around with their foods and their diets, and they have success and failures, and it's a journey. We have to tailor our eating habits to ourselves and our life and our lifestyles. But what I want to do, kind of reflect on, is inflammation, right? And women, inflammation, for women, it causes a lot of fertility issues, a lot of obstacles, a lot of infertility, and and let's face it, let's be honest. I think all disease stems from inflammation, and disease is inflammatory by nature. So, removing these inflammatory ingredients from our bloodstream is important. It really is. And here we go, boom, right into Easter Sunday, big meals. There's gonna be lots of food on the table, and pace yourself, right? Try to abstain from the sugars, right? Easter candy, right? And all the breads and the pastries, and try to focus on the meats and the fats and the heavy creams. And I guarantee you will feel a lot better physically and emotionally Monday. Now, don't beat yourself up if you have a nice dinner with your family. You'll feel great about that too. But physically, you'll notice a difference. As I'm sure a lot of you won't be as groggy or tired or fatigued on Monday if you kind of abstain from some of these sweets and carbs, right? So going into the Easter Sunday, worship, and try to avoid all those heavy foods. So I've been. It's tough, you're obviously limited to what you want to eat, and or what you're limited to what you can eat. And you're dealing with hunger too, right? So now you're hungry, and it's just like it won't go away. But it's subsiding, right? So I'm eating less food, but I'm eating super high fat food, and uh, just within 3 days, I don't have arthritis anymore. I mean, I have it, right? We all have it. I mean, these fingers, they've worked over the years, and and it hurts sometimes. I mean, arthritis is a bummer for a lot of people, or any kind of joint inflammation, or any kind of pain inflammation. And and I've done this before. I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting. I think that's awesome. I think an undernourished body is going to outperform an overnourished body every day, every single time. And I've played around with this before, and I can feel my body shrinking, not like shrinking in a bad way, but I can feel the inflammation metabolizing back in and out of my body. And let me tell you, it's a wonderful feeling. So going into the Easter weekend, good luck. I mean, be you with your family, and but if you can even cut back on that second helping of carbs or sugars or sweets, do so. And ideally, if you can cut it out completely, it's a game changer. It really is. And, I was talking with Dr. Kiltz earlier this week about pregnancy and hibernation and a lower caloric intake. And it's really opened up my eyes a lot to the to a world I really didn't see before. But when you start bringing nature and natural cycles into it, it makes much more sense to me. So in this particular situation, we were talking about hibernation and pregnancy and calorie deficiencies, and what do those babies need during hibernation. In particular, we're talking about bears, and they live off of the fat of the mother, and they don't live off the glucose. They live off of the fat, and there's a very low caloric intake. There's enough to keep the babies going and healthy, and they all come out well, ideally, unless there's some in utero problems, but they usually come out all healthy. And there's something to be said about um, a lower caloric intake and a healthier body, right? And that even applies into pregnancy. Now, I say that in with some quotations, right? Because as you go through your first trimester, you're going to have cravings that you wouldn't normally have. And I'm not going to tell you not to act on those cravings, but you'll find that if you're feeling sick, the body doesn't want you to eat, right? And we talked about that as well, and how important to recognize that what morning sickness is telling your body. There's levels in which you have to be careful. If you lose too much weight, it can be problems for you or for the baby. And there's lots of issues associated with that. So you can't, you can't go unabated. You have to keep yourself in check with your physicians as well. Of how you're feeling. You just can't, not eat, right? You have to eat. And but eating higher fat, less carbs, trying to eliminate those ingredients that cause inflammation, right? And essentially we are what we eat in a lot of ways, and sugars and carbs, they just create this teapot. Take a bunch of sugar and mix it with carbs, and then add more sugar, and then mix it up and shake it in a teapot, and add a little stress to it, and now you've got this thick mass of goop that's just doing its own thing and creating its own. It's like a volcano. It creates its own weather, and so you got this goopy mass creating its own environment. And it just goes down a road you don't want to go down. So try to do your best. Try to stay focused, stay healthy, and I will touch back on this again here real soon. And I talked earlier about, as we move into summer, as we move into the warm months, you don't want to eat much anyways, right? I mean, you're still going to eat, right? But summer, hot months, fall, is not the time to overindulge. It's going to lead to sickness in the coming up fall and winter. So it's a great time to cut back substantially, right? And if you can handle one meal a day, great. If you're healthy and you know your limits, that's that's what I do, or that's what I encourage you to do. You know, I'm trying. I haven't quite gotten there yet. I'm trying to go from dinner to dinner. So my meal is in the evening, and I'll go 24 hours to dinner, and then eat again. And what that does is gives our body a time. It gives our body time to digest, to move waste, and um, to shrink our inflammation and to void it out. Um, I've heard so many um, myths and legends about how full a colon can actually get from constantly working and by diet from processing your digested food and I think there's something to be said about that. So giving your body a break is you really should, because if you were going back to a time when we were just human, you know, we didn't eat all the time, and we didn't have the sophisticated disease processes that we do now in the abundance that we do now. So going back to a lower caloric intake and a much simpler meal is it's taking it back to a level of more organic, believe it or not, organic for being human, and that's a good way to go. So try to pace yourself a little bit going forward, especially as the temperatures start to go up and it's harder to digest food because it's stressful, right? Eating a little bit more abundance happens in the winter, not in the summer and the spring. So I'm just going to kind of look at some questions here. I think I see some stuff popping up. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of cleansing you can do, and there's lots of different cleanses out there. I do recommend that if you do it, you run it by, um, your physician or your healthcare provider, so that they can give you a yay or a nay on it. And but there's lots of cleanses out there for sure, and there's some really good ones. Um, and yeah, I mean, I was talking this week about paradigm shifts, and paradigm shifts are when everything literally changes, and you've shifted from what you've known your whole life to what now is new but makes perfect sense. So navigating a paradigm shift can be somewhat stressful, because you keep wanting to go back to what you know. But I encourage you to embrace, the new readings and the new knowledge about some of these diets. I do encourage that. Let's see, I got lots of stuff going on today. I am going to try to go up. There we go. I like that baby dust. Yeah, good carbs. They can really throw your whole system into a balance. And I'll tell you, I've heard that carbs have a memory. It's like an echo, and it takes weeks for it to really get out of your system. And if you even have a saltine cracker after not having carbs for a week and a half or 2 weeks, there's a memory. So it just immediately starts the process all over again of inflammation. So you got to really focus on it, and you got to stick with it. It goes back to you know you got to be in it to win it for the long run, because it's a journey. Let's see, Angie, I'm good, thank you. Okay, you guys. Yeah, there's a question about fibroids, and I think I've mentioned this before. I had a professor in college, and she was crazy about sugar in the fact that she always said, if you can pull the veil back on the sugar industry, you'll see it's the next big tobacco. And I believe her 100%, you know. And sugar kills more people every year than probably more than tobacco. Um, and all alcohol and drugs combined, probably because it's in everything. And it's, yeah, sugar. It feeds everything bad about what's going on in our bodies, rots our teeth out, um, on and on and on. So, you know, brush those teeth. Happy Easter, everybody. And, you know, call me, text me if you need anything, you know, set up a consultation. I'll see you later. Happy Easter.